Hello, Stephan here with Liquidity with a video about how to ask questions in German. Liquidity. German is very straightforward when it comes to modifying statements into questions. You simply have to invert the subject and the verb. There's no need for any complex did or do constructions as in English. And German does not have an official progressive or continuous verb form, so we don't even have to mess with that. Let's look at the verb to be and also auxiliary verbs in general to see how some English sentences almost literally translate into German, both for statements and for questions. So for instance, we have this sentence, Das Auto ist grün. The car is green. When we turn that into a question, it would be, Ist das Auto grün? Or in English, is the car green? How about this one? Past tense, to be. Du warst da. You were there. So that's our statement. Now our question. Warst du da? Were you there? So very, very similar. Let's look at an example with the auxiliary verb müssen or must in English. And we have here, Ich muss gehen. I must go for my statement. And then for my question, I simply invert subject and verb. And I'll have, muss ich gehen? Must I go? For more information on the auxiliary verb müssen in German and how it is used in all kinds of different ways and how it has all kinds of different uses, also idiomatic expressions, please check out my video on müssen. Let's use a couple of other verbs. For instance, you could say as a statement, Du fragst mich. You ask me or you are asking me. So in English, I have two options here depending on what exactly I mean by that, right? So if I want to turn that into a question in German, it would be, Fragst du mich? In English, that could mean either, do you ask me? Or are you asking me? Let's use the verb gehen, to go, or to leave, or to walk. So we have the statement here in German, Wir gehen aus. In English, that might translate as, we go out, or we are going out. So if I want to turn that into a question in German, it would be gehen wir aus, which in English would be do we go out or are we going out? So here you can see how the English is a lot more complex than the German. In German, it's very straightforward. We have the verb followed by the subject and then whatever else there is in that sentence. Let's use a couple of examples of present and past perfect equivalents. One thing that needs to be said, especially about the equivalent of the present perfect in German, is that very often when English would use simple past tense, in German we would use, which looks like the present perfect, but in German we actually call that the perfekt. So our first example is, Es hat geregnet. It has rained. Very often it may be just translated as it rained. Simple past tense, right? So to turn that into a question, all I do is invert es und hat. So the question would be then, hat es geregnet? Has it rained? Did it rain? One other thing that's a little bit different about German present and past perfect, the perfect or Plusquamperfekt, is that German uses not only to have, but also to be, depending on what kind of verb it is. So in German, if I use the present perfect or the past perfect, and the main verb is a verb of motion, I have to use for the helping verb a to be construction. So here we have, Claudia ist gegangen. Claudia has gone, or Claudia has left. I could also possibly translate that with simple past tense, Claudia went or Claudia left, depending on the circumstances. So if I want to turn that into a question in German, all I have to do is invert Claudia and ist. So I have, ist Claudia gegangen? So in English, we actually do the same thing. Has Claudia gone? Or has Claudia left? Or in the simple past tense, it would be just, did Claudia go? Or did Claudia leave? Or Claudia, however you want to pronounce that name. I hope you found this video helpful. Thank you for watching. Please check out my other videos. If you like this video, please give it a like. If you like my videos in general, consider subscribing to my channel if you haven't done so already. See you in the next video. Bye. Tschüss.